We can talk about X's and O's, the interesting lineups and combinations, the two-man game of Jokic and Murray, the two top 10 players from La La Land in James and Davis, the heroics of Jamal Murray, and the heart of King James and how he fought until the bitter end. We will try to talk about all that in snippets, but having quite a while to reflect on the second straight year of King James versus the Joker and the Nuggets beating the Lakers made me wonder, are the basketball gods trying to tell us something? As I pondered and deciphered what those messages could be, I realized three things. Let me start with this bitter yet a bit sweet truth. First, after LeBron got eliminated in the first round, this was the first year that the superstars of the previous generation didn't get out of the first round. A new dawn of superstars is upon us, and a new type of basketball ecosystem is here. Allow me to elaborate and let that sink in. The second round never saw LeBron, KD, AD, Dame, Steph, Jimmy, Kawhi, Harden, or Westbrook. These beloved heroes of 2010 all got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs this year. These are basically the stars that started the revolution of pace and space era. They are responsible for introducing the lexicons positionless basketball, or 3-and-D, stretch 4s and stretch 5, small ball, heliocentrism, or switchability, or pace and space, to our collective basketball vocabulary. Sadly, these are also the stars that built the super teams in the 2010s, which leads me to my second realization. With the Nuggets beating the Lakers again, this puts a nail in the coffin of super teams. And though that is not the obvious case for this Lakers team, let's not deny the fact they tried to add one more superstar almost the entire year that even saw the team somewhat disjointed for many parts of the season, mainly because of the players' distrust in the organization, or at least playing disheartened due to the suspicion that they might get traded. And let's not forget, the very reason why KCP is playing for the Nuggets and not for the team that he won his first ring with is because of the Lakers' blueprint of having 3 stars. That led them to trade solid players for a championship team to land an ex-MVP, an NBA 75th anniversary team member, a surefire Hall of Fame player in Russell Westbrook, an all-in trade that ultimately failed. Zoom out a little bit and see the glaring truth that all trades for the next available star fell face first to the floor this season. The Bucks acquiring Dame, the Suns acquiring Beal, the LA Clippers acquiring an older James Harden, to the Dubs acquiring CP3, all clearly disappointed. While some are embarrassing compared to the others, it's quite clear that the common thing in these failed trades is mostly a combination of aging stars and their fit, for starters obviously, but I guess not clear enough to stop these teams from sacrificing flexibility in the altar of a super team. Now try to compare that to what the Nuggets did to build this team. Drafting Jokic is a good start, but they could have traded Jamal Murray when his stardom started to rise, especially when we consider that he is injured most of the time. To put that in context, the last season he played 70 or more games was 6 years ago, and since then, he spent most of his time on the sidelines, and even had a season in which he didn't play at all to rehab his ACL. To a lesser degree, in terms of pecking order on the team, but as susceptible to injury, if not worse, is Michael Porter Jr. Last season was the only season that he played more than 70 games, and in his young career, he already had 2 seasons with less than 10 games. They could have also traded him when his offensive prowess and glances of stardom were more apparent, and more importantly, before giving him a fat contract. Instead, they developed him, played to his strengths, utilized him well enough where his weaknesses were less pronounced, and did all that by developing a strong cohesion with Joker. And that's not only for Jokic's 2 top offensive options, but that same principle of developing, playing through players' strengths, and somewhat masking their weaknesses applies even to Denver's young supporting casts. Just look at Christian Braun and Peyton Watson's up and down shooting, yet the team optimizes on their size, defensive prowess, and overall versatility. While not really used as much during the playoffs, early in the season, everyone who watches the Nuggets can see their vision for Julian Strawther, a 3-and-D rookie. Kevin O'Connor, former host from The Ringer, underlined that Booth's philosophy is built on 4 key pillars: basketball IQ, character, positional size, and the absence of skill deficiencies. All of the players the Nuggets target must meet at least 3 of the criteria, but ideally all 4. Look around the league and realize that these pillars of the Denver Nuggets and/or some variations of it are basically the foundation of most successful teams of this current era of NBA basketball. While change in basketball is most of the time gradual, it's still funny how teams never learned from the aging and breaking big threes such as the Lakers' Kobe, Dwight, and Steve Nash years prior. You see, the risk of all-in trades are a few minor slip-ups. May it be health, little quirks that mess with team chemistry, either on the court or off the court, or maybe just miscalculation in giving up an asset on that trade, can potentially be an unmitigated disaster. It's called all-in trades because it really forces a franchise to empty their coffers and put all its assets on the table, which in worst cases makes any pivot unlikely because they are left with no resources to make any transaction work, kinda where the Lakers are now. Anyway, let me end with this third, which is most likely an obvious third, but I'll just say it. Nikola Jokic is a beast. He might not look like your typical unicorn, not even a typical burly stallion, but this man from Serbia is a monster. Even LeBron said that he can do everything. In the same interview, he said,
"Everybody gets cracked up into his stats."
Well, I say, yeah, we all do. You know why? It's the kind of numbers that crack your head over and over again, especially in the manner that he is doing it. In today's game, where a one-man scoring machine comes in all shapes and sizes, like Joel Embiid, Jalen Brunson, Luka, or SGA. So as two-way dominance, someone who can basically fill in what a team needs on any given night, you have Giannis, Tatum, Kawhi, and Anthony Edwards. The Joker is all that and even more. He was 5th in total points, 3rd in total rebounds, 2nd in total assists, and 8th in total steals. He's the only player in the history of the NBA to be top 10 in all 4 categories in a single season. It's hilarious that Jokic has just the second most double-doubles this season with 68, and also the second most triple-doubles with 25. He was also second in the non-restricted painted area field goal percentage of 61.7%. This is typically where players take floaters and hook shots from. Also finished second in total points in the painted area. And what's mind-blowing about all these is he doesn't hold the ball all that much, like most heliocentric scorers who operate with their on-ball brilliance and/or pick-and-roll savviness. Don't get me wrong, Jokic has some on-ball wiggle too, with his efficient post-ups, deadly mid-rangers, and even long-range bombs. But what really supercharges his offense better than anyone is how he juices out efficiency with his screens, offensive rebounds, and subtle off-ball nuance. And needless to say, his passing. He has the softest, yet the most reliable hands ever. I mean, Steph with his shooting was special, but the way this guy executes his surgical level passing and elevates his teammates to levels you never thought they could, with the ease and composure he does, is dumbfounding every single time. Every single Nugget starter had a higher effective field goal percentage with him on the floor versus when he's off. Basically, present him with whatever variation of zone and he'll dissect that even before the quarter ends. Give him whatever defensive problem, switching, double teams, you name it. He will surely solve it, and that's what basically happened in the Lakers series. How about his defense? Even if I tell you his number 1 in defensive box plus minus and number 2 in defensive win shares, you might still not believe me. So let me just explain the process rather than the actual product. When you watch him again, you only need to look for these 2 things: impeccable understanding of angles and tendencies. From time to time, he fakes a charge, only for the offensive player to slow down, get bailed out to pass, and puff another deflection. Unlike other athletic defenders we're used to, he doesn't block many shots, but the way he positions himself to both defend the layup and disrupt the pass is equally as impactful, if not more. This infallible positioning basically explains why he doesn't commit many fouls. He leads all centers in total steals, and he was 5th in total deflections this season. He doesn't really have that LeBron or Thanos-level muscles, maybe more like a tall Hulk Hogan nowadays.
Well, let me tell you something, brother!
But Joker sure is a force of nature. They say that a rising tide lifts all boats. He's the tide that elevates even the mile-high city. Do you remember what all the experts were saying about the 2014 draft? They said that it's the draft that's going to change the league because of its superstars. And 10 years later, we're laughing at it because the top of the draft, except for Embiid, Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Dante Exum, Julius Randle, and Marcus Smart, weren't the superstars that were anointed to change the league. Well, the joke's on us because the 41st pick is. Though Jokic and the Nuggets failed to win an NBA championship in the 2024 NBA playoffs, his overall impact on how basketball teams are built and how basketball is played might just be as big. But what do you think? Do you think Jokic is as good as everyone says he is? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. Thanks for watching.